My name is Esther Stevens and I'm a full-time domestic worker.
I would like to thank everyone involved in the negotiations for a convention for domestic workers during the last 2 weeks. The technical group and all the delegates, we have shown ILO that unity, commitment and hard work can make a difference.
Domestic workers need a convention. Domestic workers need a convention. Domestic workers need a convention. Domestic workers need a ILO. Are you listening, employers? Are you listening, employers? Are you listening, employers? Domestic workers need a convention. Are you listening, employers? Are you listening, employers? Are you listening, employers?
I'm at the ILO, United Nations.
Domestic workers need a convention. Domestic workers need a convention. Domestic workers need a convention.
I am a former domestic worker, and there cannot be many of us who have spoken from this podium. I feel very proud.
If I can help to make domestic worker lives better, then I will continue fighting for that.
Need a convention. Domestic workers 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 need a ILO. Are you listening, employers? Are you listening, employers?
Myrtle? Myrtle?
Domestic workers in the convention. Domestic workers in the convention. Domestic workers in the convention. I tell my mother I'm in the convention.
In November of 2006, domestic workers from around the world gathered in Amsterdam to discuss how they could organize internationally to have their rights to decent working conditions recognized. Specifically, domestic workers sought to have their governments, employers, and society see domestic work as decent work, see contributions domestic workers make to society, see the need for continued political and allied support, and for the kind of labor protections enjoyed by other sectors of the working class.
It took years of organizing to get to this moment. The International Domestic Workers Network led the coordination of the Decent Work for Domestic Workers global campaign and linked domestic workers organizations locally, nationally, regionally, and internationally.
Are you listening, government? Are you listening, government? Are you listening, government? Domestic workers need a convention.
Domestic workers wanted their particular governments to not only pass, but implement labor laws that protected this marginalized class of workers. Because domestic workers were pursuing civil rights protections, they felt the United Nations would assist them in achieving their goals. Through the lobbying efforts of the domestic workers worldwide, in March of 2008, the International Labor Organization, also known as the ILO, granted domestic workers a space on the agenda of the 99th session of the International Labor Conference that took place in 2010.
We haven't reached the end of the road yet. What we believe, and like we said when we came here, we're not going back to our countries without a convention. And we firmly believe that we are going to get that.
Domestic workers felt it was important to tell the world their incredible stories, to tell the world why a convention was needed, and to tell the world why domestic workers needed labor protections.
Every human being has a right to live. And we how the human beings, we have to give that respect to others, especially the domestic workers, so far they are considered like slaves. Today I feel that we have a different path and different hopes. Our dream will be one day fulfilled.
It's the first time in my life I attend like this meeting. I came before to Geneva and I attend the ILO meeting on 2007. This is different. The spirit of the people who are sharing and the power that they have in their they have a goal and they insist to reach that goal. It's very nice to feel that. And they are one for each other. Yeah. They are like brothers and sisters. Yes, it's nice to meet such a kind people like that, and they believe on what they want. Yes, it's very important to believe in what you want.
The collective voices of domestic workers were finally beginning to be heard.
The ILO process is not only revolutionary for domestic workers, it also demonstrates a powerful model of international organizing. The IDWN initially partnered with the International Union Federation and WIGO and other organizations, later gained larger support from human rights organizations, women's international organizations. This linked the campaign for decent work for domestic workers with a much wider global movement for social justice for migrant workers, for child workers, and precarious workers in the informal economy throughout the world.
Everybody thought the whole world was going to industrialize and that we'd be living in an industrial economy, but that's not so. And we know that the whole world is not going to industrialize. And we know that capitalism is going to make use of the informal sector, and therefore it's important for informal sector to organize to fight the onslaught of capital.
I will call all of us a movement of the people. The movement of the people is a tremendous movement. That's where the real power resides.
The attainment of a global standard for domestic workers' rights go far beyond the 2011 International Labour Conference itself.
Yes, I want to see domestic workers exercise the right to collective bargaining and for them to be politically aware so that one day in every year we would strike to show them that when women stop, everything stops.
I believe all domestic workers in the world can enjoy democratic living as human beings, as workers, and as citizens.
Workers of the world unite.
Yes.
Trabajadores de todos los países unidos.
Domestic workers continuing to stand tall and to reaching out to those who aren't, so that this circle that we have here will go around the globe.
By building this wider network of support, the International Domestic Workers Network gains strength, momentum, and access to this United Nations body, which allowed them to strategically fight for the first international set of rights for this formerly excluded group of workers.
Mr. President, the elimination of discrimination in respect of employment and occupation as one of the fundamental principles and rights at work should be realized not only in labor laws but also in other policies. The member states have obligations to remove all obstacles, including restrictive immigration policies, to ensure migrant domestic workers are not discriminated against.
En nuestro caso, la gran mayoría de las mujeres somos migrantes, indígenas, niñas y adolescentes, indocumentadas. Queremos ser sujetas de todos los derechos que tiene cualquier trabajador y trabajadora. Ya no queremos formar parte de la discriminación ni la explotación.
We're going to be the first country that's going to ratify the convention. The first country. Watch out for us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes,
feeling so exuberant, and I'm feeling positive because I now got my employer representative from Trinidad and Tobago to vote yes. And I'm here with my Minister of Labour and the President of the Trade Union Congress in Trinidad and Tobago, who all voted yes. And I am feeling, I can't explain the feeling that I have here today. And I feel this positive will go throughout this meeting here today, and we will win. We have no other choice but to win.
My heart is even burning. I don't know, because of the statements given by the employers. Some of the employers have gone back home. Others, they want to abstain. Therefore, what I'm thinking now is just praying for the Lord so that He can help us in this very moment when we are going to have our vote. Yes.
The total number of votes cast is 158,330.
396. Vote contre 16. Abstention 63. Majorité des 2/3 275. Le quorum est
a la persona que tienen que agradecer. The person you have to thank. The person you have to thank who has done the work that has permitted is Manuela Tomei. I just want to viva Manuela Tomei. Viva Manuela Tomei.
I can't talk. I mean, I can't really believe that this is real, that this is true. This is the beginning of an even longer, battle. So it's not the end, it's the beginning. Muy orgulloso de ti, de verdad. Acá, gracias también. Yes, that's it. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel that it's like a baby was born that I give birth to. For me, it is such an emotional moment. It's just to think today, the 16th today of June 2011, that freedom at last came for domestic workers around the world.
Domestic workers have a convention. Domestic workers have a convention. Domestic workers have a convention.
On June 16, 2011, the governments, employers, and workers present at the 100th International Labor Conference, held in Geneva, Switzerland, adopted the first convention and accompanying recommendations on decent work for domestic workers.
A little step for the ILO, a big step for humanity.
45 years ago, I was sitting in my employer's garage and I was organizing domestic workers. Today, I'm here. And I'm here because of the cause of so many domestic workers. And if you did not believe in us, you would not have been able to win this fight. You believe there's a better life for domestic workers. You believe that the time of repayment has come now for all of us. We want to be free. We don't want to be called slaves anymore. We want to get what every other worker has in this world. And if we come from a trade union, we never forget that. We know what we're fighting for because we believe what we're doing is right. So thank you all. Thank you all to the workers. Thank you for also putting your trust in me. And thank you all for being with me all the way.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Our union makes us strong. Solidarity forever.
The convention recognizes that domestic workers have the right to free association and collective bargaining, the right to end child domestic labor, the right to end forced labor practices, the right to equal opportunity employment practices, and the right to work in an environment that is free of any abuse, harassment, and/or violence.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Despite winning the support of the ILO, the leaders of the International Domestic Workers Network know that the difficult work has really just begun.
When governments turn their attention to rectifying the new Convention on Domestic Workers, we will need them not only to put what it contains into their employment laws, but also into their immigration laws and work permit systems. Governments of origin and destination countries need to collaborate better to ensure there will be no abuses in the job referral processes.
Yo soy de Perú y nosotros lo que le pedimos a todos los países que estuvieron acá, que ratifiquen y que se apliquen en nuestros países, porque este es un acto histórico y es lo que la sociedad nos debía. Esto no es gratis, es lo que la sociedad nos debía, por todas las injusticias que se cometieron durante décadas con nosotros las trabajadoras del hogar.
Brothers and sisters, your job is not over. That's why I called for this meeting to remind you of your work. And you still have a lot of work to make sure that you lobby your governments to vote in support of the convention.
Only together can we ensure the rights of domestic workers living and working in every home, in every city, in every nation, and on every continent. Please join forces with the women of the International Domestic Workers Network who continue to challenge governments, employers, and their societies to provide basic labor protections for this marginalized group.
Queremos solicitar, pedir su solidaridad porque necesitamos una ley justa que nos reivindique el trabajo que tenemos tan importante para nuestras sociedades.
Please help the International Domestic Workers Network ensure the international ratification of the 100th Convention of the International Labor Organization.
Viva! Viva!
Do that again. United.
We stand.